different from last year. Who better to do that than our own Hank Parker? I'll talk with 3 anglers who fish this lake somewhat differently. Hank?
Hey, thanks, Carlton and Taylor. You know, this is a huge event. This is a lot of money on the line. And outside the Tour Championship, this is the tournament, the Walmart Open, that everybody wants to win. But this is the 4th tournament of a 6-tournament schedule, and this is when those ever so precious points for the Tour Championship really start to mount. So we've got 3 guys today, and they're all in different situations. It's going to be a really interesting show. We've got Clark Winlet, who expects a lot from himself. We've got Todd Airy, who has probably got more pressure on himself than anybody in this event. And then we've got Carl Sweebeck, who is in great shape and probably going to fish really conservative. Let's talk about Clark a little bit. Clark is a guy who is not having a bad year at all, but by his standards he is. And he really had what he considers a horrible tournament at Old Hickory, and he's out to redeem himself. So I think he'll be fishing. Clark at least will be fishing as aggressive if you'll ever see him fishing. He's one of the most consistent guys on the tournament circuit. And then you take Todd. Todd has got the pressure. You're not going to believe all the pressure. The Jacobs Cup or the Tour Championship is going to be on his home water on Logan Martin. So he has to catch fish here. He's not had a good year. He's down about 90 couple places, 90 something in the points. He's got a lot of ground to make up. He can't fish conservatively. He's got to catch fish, and this is a do-or-die tournament for him, so all the pressure in the world. And I could feel it. You know, I talked to him a little bit last night, and I can feel the pressure that he's under. And then Carl Sweebeck. Carl expects to make the Tour Championship. That's his goal for the year. He started out last year. He was successful. He expects that again this year. He's right in the middle of the pack, about 20th place or so, maybe 18th, 19th place, and the top 48 are going to make it. So he's right there. He's going to fish real conservative. So we'll get to see how all 3 of these guys approach Beaver Lake. It's going to be really interesting.
An angler who knows Beaver Lake well is Castrol pro Bobby Curtis. He's from just down the road in Siloam Springs and has fished beaver for more than 15 years.
You know, I really, really hate to finesse fish, but, you know, in this tournament, you're going to have to do it. You know, to do any good or have any chance, you're going to have to do a little bit of finesse fishing, I believe. So, you know, as bad as I hate it, I love catching fish, so I'll just keep it trying. Well, this time of year on Beaver Lake, you know, the fish they're staging up, you know, they're wanting to move up and spawn. So what I believe is going to be happening now is most guys are going to be looking for these staging fish, and or they're looking for their migration route. So what I'm keying in on right now is trying to find these little ledges and things leading back into these spawning pockets or the little secondary points. Now right here is a perfect example of what I'm talking about when I'm talking about these ledges. This isn't a steep ledge. You know, right now I'm just sitting in 12 foot of water. What these fish have done, they've come up the channel into this creek, and they're going to move right up, and they're going to travel this ledge. And they're going to run this ledge right back to the spawning flat. You know, and when I talk about staging, you know, they're not just traveling up there and going to be there today. These fish may be there 3 or 4 more days from now. They're staging, and that means that they're just waiting for the temperature to get right and for the moon to get right for them to move up on the flats and spawn. I'm going to come in here with a finesse bait, like I said, with this little jig head, and I'm throwing this little Berkeley power crawl, and I'm just going to work it real slow off the ledge because these fish should be feeding up on crawdads, and I'm hoping that the big females are traveling in here with these males. I like to fish this area because of the cedar trees, and one of the things that I really like to do this time of year, but when the sun comes out, and one thing that I'm expecting to happen during the tournament, is when the sun comes out and it's real bright bluebird skies, these fish will get up in these cedar trees and they'll just suspend in them, and they'll just sit there and they'll soak up the sun. And what you do is you throw your jerkbait out and you crank it down to this depth, and you stop it beside the cedar trees, and you just let it sit there. And these fish will swim out of the cedar trees and come over and eat it. You know, on Beaver Lake this time of year, I really like to throw this wigglewort crankbait because it's going to imitate the crawfish. This time of year, these females are going to be up on these rocky points and things like this, staged up, ready to spawn. And they're going to be feeding up on crawdads. And the wigglewort, it's an old Ozark tradition. I like to work this bait just real slow. It's going to be a bait that's going to be used a bunch in this tournament. It's like the little finesse baits. There's no secret to it. But as I said, on Beaver Lake, there's always more than one pattern going on. But so I expect some other guys maybe throw some Carolina rigs out on some main lake points, and then also some guys probably up in the river will be throwing some spinner baits if they can find some windy banks. My estimation this year on Beaver Lake is 22 pounds for 2 days.
The Banana Boat outdoor conditions tell the story of the weather. Look for morning lows around 30 degrees, afternoon highs about 60. UV index 7 to 9.
So how's Beaver Lake going to be won? Let's find out now from Hank Parker. He's standing by with one of our pro competitors.
Hey, thanks, Taylor. We're out here with Castrol GTX Pro, Carl Sweebeck, and what are we doing, Carl?
Well, we're trying to catch a fish so we can get a little clue on what we're going to be doing for the Walmart Open here in a few days. So, you know, trying to cover a lot of water, trying to finesse fish, trying to just figure out exactly where these fish are staging or where they're going to be at for the tournament.
That's what we're doing, and it's going to be exciting right here for the Walmart Open on Beaver Lake. Boy, that's a big payday.
That could be a big payday. I tell you what, I've thought a million times what I'd do if I won that tournament. And, you know, I still hadn't figured it out, so I think I'm going to just go ahead and try my best to win it, and then I'll worry about that a little later.
I like that. You could loan your old buddy Hank some money.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So you're just fishing the rocky banks, throwing your little finesse worm out off the bank in 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, how deep of water?
Exactly. We're actually throwing them probably about 10 to 15 foot. It just kind of varies. But I've just been looking for these chunk rock banks and covering a lot of water, as much water as I can, as slow as I can, if that makes any sense.
I understand.
Just to try to figure out where there'll be, you know, group. And that's one thing that I have found during practice is if you catch one, there'll usually be 2 or 3 more right there close. So I'm looking for a lot of those areas that I can catch those 2 or 3 where I can make kind of a running gun type pattern for the tournament.
There you go. Fish.
Little guy.
I'm starting to get a complex. I haven't had a bite yet.
I tell you what, we got an aquarium bass.
Right now, I'd take 1/2 that size and be proud of him. Matter of fact, you get another bite. How about let me wind him in? Protect it. Quit kissing that fish. Look on national television. Man is kissing. Oh my goodness.
I wasn't kissing him. He kind of got the hook a little deep, so I'm gonna let him go ahead and get rid of that on his own.
You know, that's something we don't talk about much, but catch and release is a big factor. But when you catch a fish and you get him down really deep in his throat, instead of trying to pull that hook out, if you'll just break it off, the acid in that fish's body will dissolve that hook in just a couple of days and the fish will survive. Now, you're primarily fishing for spotted bass, smallmouth, or largemouth, or whatever?
Primarily. I'm actually going to be, I'm catching a few fish throwing a crankbait. So crankbait will probably be a way that I'll go out and start my day come tournament time. And then once the sun gets high and if I'm fortunate enough to fill in my sack, I would like to, you know, catch these spots. And you never know. Sometimes, you know, throwing this worm, you never know what you're going to catch. You're liable to catch a, you know, 4-pound smallmouth. So, you know, it's not that you can't catch big fish doing this, but I'm just trying to figure out a way to fill in my sack. There you go.
I like that worm, though. He's
fat. Yeah, he.
Backed up right here. How are you in the Tour Championship run?
19th right now. This is definitely a tournament that you want to do real well in, but you're also wanting to do well enough to stay in the points running. So I want to weigh in 5, because if I weigh in 5 each day, I feel like, you know, I'm going to be able to stay in that running for the championship. I just don't want to lose that opportunity.
Well, Carl, I hate we didn't have the perfect conditions to see the wacky worm. That's what I really wanted, but let me go over with you what we got going on here. Your primary deal is going to be catching a few largemouth, hopefully on a crankbait.
Right.
Then you're going to go to the finesse worm, fill out your limit.
That's my game plan.
That's your game plan. And if it gets warm and sunny and you see fish cruising, you're going to go to your wacky worm.
Without a doubt, I'll have the sweet boat ready.
Well, I hope it gets warm and sunny. Castor Pro Carl Sweeback, great guy. We're going to go right now for a commercial break, but we'll be right back with more FLW Outdoors coming up next. Hey, you're from Birmingham, Alabama. That's the host city for the Tour Championship this year.
Yeah, got to get there first, though. I tell you what, that's going to be a phenomenal tournament there. They're hitting it at the right time of year.
You don't really want to be in that event, do you?
Just about as much as I want to sleep, eat, breathe. I can't think of anything I want any more than that.
How many years have you been doing this?
This is my second year full time, but just fishing, tournament fishing, gosh, I don't know, 20 years.
20 years, you're only 25.
I'm 28.
28? You've been tournament fishing for 20 years.
Yeah, I won my first campground tournament when I was 8 years old, my grandpa.
So you have been fishing since you were 8 years old for bass.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And you're 28 now and a 20-year veteran. Well, that's pretty impressive.
I wouldn't say that.
Well, you did. You said you've been doing this for 20 years. You've been fishing tournaments.
I've caught fish here on probably, in 5-6 days, I've probably caught fish on about 12 or 13 different baits.
Would you like to name those baits?
I'll tell you something, I've caught some really good ones on this bait right here. A deep diving jerk bait's great on a clear water reservoir. You know, these baits suspend nose down. The big spots don't like them. And that, you know, that bait dives 8 or 9 feet deep on a good long cast. So you get on some of these rocky points, you can get it down there and those fish will come up and hit it.
And that's a suspending jerk bait.
Clear water's really tough, you know. When it's calm and slick, you got to slow down or go deeper or go thick cover.
That's one. We got 12 or 13 more. Let's go.
You're fishing another one. That jig head worm here is awesome.
All right, jig head with a little rubber worm on the back of it. That's 2.
A lake like this, a lot of what the fish key on is the bank change. You know, the transition areas where the slate rock turns to gravel or bluff wall goes to chunk rock, or things like that. And if you got some cover in those areas, that's the deal.
So you're telling me that you've got fish kind of patterned based on a bank change or a rock change. How about the pressure? I mean, you won't admit it, and I can tell that you're trying to be real confident, and I think that's very important. But it's got to be a lot of pressure because it means everything to you to make that Tour Championship. You're in the hole a little bit. You've had a couple of pretty rough tournaments, and you know you're capable of making it up, but you know you have to catch them here. You can't not catch them here and then make it up in the next 2.
This tournament's the breaking point. You know, I'll either move up or I'll move down. If I move down, there's just no way I can make it up.
Running out of time, running out of lakes.
How often do you get a chance to fish a championship tournament worth $500,000 on a lake that you know well? I mean, your home lake.
Oh, yeah.
That's an opportunity you don't get much.
Yeah, you got to be there if you possibly can. That's big.
So, yeah, I spent extra time here, some really long days. I don't remember anybody beat me to the ramp, but maybe one day that I've been here, and I'm always the last one out. I've usually got my running lights in when I'm leaving, so I've put my time in, and I've got about 15 or 16 different areas that are all holding fish.
And you really do feel good about the tournament right now?
This is as good as I've felt going into a tournament yet.
That's real good. I hope you make it. I'd really like to see what happens on Logan. I think that's going to be a great tournament, and it's in a great place. Logan's got a lot of potential to produce some good strings of fish. It's going to be interesting, and I'd like to see you there. I think that'd be great.
I'd love to be there, Hank. I tell you what, it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful tournament. I hope everybody comes to see it.
Thanks, Todd.
Appreciate it, man.
Real pal, man. Good luck to you. I hope you make that cut. Hey, don't go away. We'll be right back with the 2003 Land O'Lakes champion and defending champion of the Walmart Open, Dan Moorhead, right here on FLW Outdoors. Well, I tell you, we're out here in the fog with my old buddy, Kellogg's Pro Clark Winlet, and we're on Beaver Lake. Now, you're the most consistent guy on the whole circuit, And you're really a killer here. We're on your favorite lake, aren't we?
Hey, I really like it. It's like I usually catch them here when they're spawning, but heck, we're just going to go out and see if we can find some fish today.
So they're not spawning today. We got to hunt hard, huh?
Yeah, we're going to have to hunt hard. Looking at it, and you know, like we just talked about, it's not happening yet. So, but it's going to happen. I just don't know if it'll happen in time for the tournament.
So, but that could really turn out to be your demise if you're looking for fish that really aren't there yet and they don't show up. That's probably going to hurt you worse than if you weren't and hadn't been so consistent.
Well, it absolutely could, but you know, it's just like the guy that sits out there and keeps doing the same thing and doesn't look for something different. You know, I know right now that you know, what I'm on may be good enough to win, but I think I've got to be able to adapt. And so every day I'm just looking for something of the next phase. You know, where they're going to move to, where the ones you can catch are going to move to. I think that's probably the real key.
So you're pretty much set right now that whatever's going on the lake today is not necessarily what's going to be going on when this tournament starts.
I think so. I think the deep fish, the spotted bass, and some of the smallmouth will probably be pretty consistent. I think you'll be able to catch those, but I think the ones that are shallow are the ones that are changing so fast.
Basically largemouth.
I think mainly largemouth, and I think they're changing every day. It's been a little bit different every day. Instead of those fish being, you know, only eating crawfish, I guess they started eating shad, because I start seeing a lot of shad. Just seeing balls of them, seeing blow up in the shad and stuff in the backs of their pockets. Kind of make you think a spinnerbait might work. I can't believe you're not throwing a spinnerbait. That's what you always throw.
Well, I'll tell you, I wanted to throw something I couldn't catch a fish on.
That's true.
You catch them, you always
There's
do.
one.
Got a fish.
Little one.
He's excited. That's a little largemouth.
Little small largemouth.
Little small largemouth.
Well, he ate that.
He did eat it like he was real serious about it. You know, the one thing that I've noticed, Clark, is you don't really pay a lot of attention to what people are saying. You know, when everybody says, like, the sight fish bite is definitely not on, it seems like you don't really go by their rules or by whatever the talk is. You always seem to find some. How do you do that? I mean, how do you know? Here we are, water temperature is 51 or 52 degrees, and you're talking about before this tournament's over, because the moon phase has come on, there's going to be some sight fishing. How do you know that?
Well, you know, what happens is that the first big full moon you have in the spring is when the most fish are going to spawn. And we're leading up to a full moon. The water's a little bit cold, but it's going to push those fish up on the beds and the spawn. There's going to be some fish that spawn before this tournament's over. And we talked about the full moon. The full moon in this tournament is the Monday after the tournament. So I think it'll come into play the last 2 days of the tournament. If you can make it till the top 10, I think there'll be some fish on the beds. There'll be some sight fishing. But, you know, the time for me, the best time to sight fish is when nobody else is doing it. You know, it's always going to be the guy's going to win that's doing something a little bit different. And I don't know if that's what it'll be, but we're going to keep looking.
Clark, it's always a pleasure. You always catch all the fish, so I don't know what the deal is on that.
I wish I'd have caught more, but I enjoyed fishing with you. I appreciate you coming.
Great guy, Clark Winlet. Don't go away. We're going to join Taylor and Carlton and get our predictions on Beaver Lake coming up next on FLW.
Yesterday, Jason was one of 8 finalists who caught a 5-fish limit. He's just under 6 pounds off the lead, Charlie.
He caught a limit yesterday, but only 6 pounds and 10 ounces, his smallest limit so far. Hopefully he'll do better today.
Well, he's off to a better start. He's got 2 good quality keepers in the boat already. Jason, feeling a little bit more confidence now?
Yeah, I do, Carlton. We had a slow start this morning, and you know, what I was doing yesterday wasn't working, and there's no reason to think that it was going to work today any differently. So we made a wholesale adjustment, and immediately following that, the first 2 stops we made, I caught pretty nice fish on both stops. So,
Jason, you said you made an adjustment. Was it adjustment just in location or adjustment in style?
well, no, I'm still doing the same thing. I'm still fishing with my little hand pour jig, and but I made an adjustment in terms of bank composition, and also in terms of what cover that I was fishing. And I made a small adjustment in the area of the lake, but nothing that I would have thought meant the difference. I think the difference is we're fishing a little bit steeper banks right now than we had been.
All right, well, that's Jason Kilpatrick. He's on the water right now, and he's fishing very well. He's got a little bit of confidence. You can tell in his voice, and 2 quality keepers will do that for you.
He seems to rise to the top when the big money's on the line. Jason's out there and having a good time, too.
All right, well, another angler out there on the water right now is Clark Winlet. He has won twice here at Beaver Lake. He's looking for his 3rd win, unprecedented in the FLW Tour. He's with Taylor Carr right now.
In the Kellogg's boat, Clark Winlet from Cedar Park, Texas, and already a shakeup on the leaderboard. During the launch, while other anglers were taking off, Clark caught a fish about a pound. We got a virtual tie here, Clark.
Well, that's great. You know, I just felt like this was a place that I could catch some. You know, a lot of people fish here in the tournament, but you know, when it only cuts to 10, that I just decided I caught some here in practice. I might as well start here. So I'm really just fishing a pattern, not really a spot. So I'll just kind of go wherever feels right.
Was it your plan to let Mansour sleep with the lead all night and then take it back in the first minute of the tournament?
That sounds great, but yeah, I don't really have anything to lose right now. I feel like the only way that I'm going to win is just to go fishing and fish my pattern, and if I execute well, and I'm going to get some good bites today, I think. If I can execute well, then I think I'll have a great day.
So you're throwing a crankbait, and is contact with the bottom one of the keys?
Yeah, here it's a big key. If you're not hitting rock, or it's really mostly rock, if you're not hitting something, you're not going to catch anything. And when if I don't feel the bottom one cast, and I know the bank might jut in a little bit, so I'll make my next cast a little bit farther in, or if I feel it really good, then I might, make my next cast a little bit farther out. But for the most part, the bottom's the key.
All right, you've had a good start, Clark. Good luck the rest of the day.
Thanks, Taylor. Y'all take care.
Kellogg's pro Clark Winlet. If he wins this event, he'd win Beaver Lake for the 3rd time. Nobody's ever done that. Back to you guys. In the 7-Up boat, this is Tim Klinger from Boulder City, Nevada. He's already got 1 fish in the boat, a bit over 2 pounds. You know, Tim, with that 1 fish, you're just about in the lead now. You're within a few ounces anyway. You've had a good start today.
Yeah, I'm pretty close probably right now, but I got a lot of work to do. I got to get 4 more big largemouth, and I'll have a shot at winning it.
What led you to fish this particular setup?
Well, I've won a few boats throwing this particular bait, so I got a lot of confidence in it. It's a pork that's really thin with long legs. It's got a lot of action. Big largemouth, they like a jig and pork combination, especially in the cold water.
Tim, you've got 1 fish in the boat. You know you're somewhere near the lead. You're fishing with confidence. Do you feel good about your chances?
I do. If I can get 4 more largemouth to commit to this jig, put them in the boat, I'll have a heck of a shot at winning it.
All right. He's smiling. He's doing well. It's Tim Klinger from Boulder City, Nevada. 1 nice fish in the boat. He knows he's somewhere near the lead in this event.
This little area Tom's fishing, it's a sandbar and a gravel bar, actually a pea gravel bar, and the old White River comes around here and swings right in by it, and these fish usually stack up here this time of year when the water's cold and they're actually schooling. You know, he'll see them break every now and then, and what he's doing, he's taking that 1/2-ounce white jig with a big pearl trailer and he's throwing it out, and he's trying to fish it between 12 and 20 feet and keeping it just a little bit off the bottom, and he's just doing a steady wind. He's got the big grub tail, that's what gives it the action. And a lot of times in clear water lakes, a real subtle movement is what triggers these fish into biting, and he's got it figured out this week. Tom, that jig you're throwing, you've got a kind of a fancy little skirt on there. Is that something that you tied up?
Yeah, I sit up at night till 2 in the morning some nights trying to mimic shad, shore minnows, crayfish. You know, it's like a fly fisherman matching the hatch. You know, some people get into different things. A good fly fisherman really gets into his flies for trout fishing. Well, I get into it like that for bass fishing. And it's fun. It's really fun, especially when you catch fish on what you make.
That skirt is a beautiful skirt. It's got a lot of glitter in it and a lot kind of a green tint to it. And that big grub on the back of it, I mean, it's a big bait for a clear water lake. I'm really surprised that a lot of these little Kentuckies are biting that thing, but he's got the right lure figured out. Now, I'm gonna tell you what, the main thing is the technique. That technique, when fish are in that indecisive mode between shallow water and real deep water, what they do is they suspend. And when you just wind that bait through them like that, it's a technique that'll catch them when they're tough to catch. And it's not one that I'm very good at either. I'm impressed with the catch he's made this week.
Tom Monsour is our leader heading into day 4, but one of the other finalists who is making a huge charge is Tennessee's Craig Powers.
Already out there with the limit, CP, the winner of our Louisiana event on the Walmart FLW Tour, would love to make this his second victory. He's always dangerous. He's having fun out there on Beaver Lake.
All right, Craig Powers joins us on the water right now. Craig, you've got a limit early. How does that help your confidence?
Oh, I'm okay as far as confidence. I just now let a big one get off right when you guys started talking. But I mean, I'm around a lot of fish. I just don't know how big they are, but that was a good one I just let get off.
You won with a flipping stick in your hand, very shallow water. Now you're out here in a deep, clear water lake. You really have to be very adaptable, CP, in this sport.
Well, you either adapt or you get your brains beat out. And about 5 years in a row coming to this lake, I've got my brains beat out, so I had to do a little changing this year. And I've been real lucky. You know, my roommate Kobe Krieger's helped me out a whole lot fishing this clear water, so just been real lucky this year.
All right, you're right in the thick of it, Craig, right in the thick of it, within striking range, but you're going to have to, like the one you got away, you got to catch some of those big ones to make the charge and win this thing.
Yeah, I know. I'm around some big fish down there with that jigging spoon, and if I can get 2 or 3 of them to bite, if I could just get 2 or 3 of them to bite, I feel like I'd have a shot, but I'm definitely going to have to go jig that spoon for a while.
All right, thank you, Craig. Thanks for talking with us. Best of luck to you, and we will see Craig and the rest of our finalists on stage in just a little bit. Craig, 3 pounds, 10 ounces off the lead. We've got a lot of our finalists well within striking distance of our leader, Tom Monsour. And when we come back on FLW Outdoors, we're going to take you out to the big stage. Our finalists will be there, and we'll begin that shootout-style weigh-in. Somebody's going to win $200,000 when we come back on FLW.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to FLW Outdoors from Rogers, Arkansas. And minutes ago, we just crowned a champion, and somebody, Larry Nixon, walked off the stage with some big money and talk about a thrilling ending.
Hey, it was a great tournament. I'll tell you what, we had 2 guys right at the end. Both of them had a big fish, and I didn't have a clue who was going to win.
It came down to Craig Powers and Tim Klinger, and the drama in here was unbelievable.
It really was. You know, if Craig could have just had 1 more pound, it'd have been all his, but as it turned out, Klinger won.
Now, Larry, these guys are quite a contrast. Powers has fished the FLW for years. Klinger is in his first season, and he's from the West Coast.
I'll tell you, Beaver really suits the West Coast guys' style of fishing. They love clear water, and Klinger did a great job here.
You fished this event. How did Beaver Lake fish for you and everybody else?
Well, actually, it fished really different this year. There wasn't as much shallow water fishing. There was a few crankbait fish, but actually most of the fish was caught in deep water this year.
As the show goes on, you'll talk to the winners and the guys who did well and find out how they did it.
That's right. I want to know how they did it, too. You know, I got out there and fished deep and thought I practiced right, and I wound up only catching 13.5 pounds, but I've done worse here, so... You know.
Larry Nixon will dig for information coming up. Right now, look back at what happened on the Walmart Open on Beaver Lake. 200 pros get set to fish for serious money on Beaver Lake. And there's one common theme. A check of the boat's decks show lots of crankbaits tied on. Dan Moorhead won on Beaver Lake last year on a crankbait. Can it be won that way this year, Dan?
Sure. I mean, this is the Ozarks. They always bite a crankbait. Yeah, I imagine whoever wins this tournament, crankbait will play some role.
It's working for Fuji Pro Randy Blockett. His choice, a medium-running mega bass crankbait, thrown on light line into 10 feet of water. The result, a 13-inch spotted bass, the first of his 5 keepers. In the middle of that crowd of boats is pedigree pro Greg Pugh, not throwing a crankbait, but slow-rolling a spinnerbait off a steep drop-off. It gets him a 3-pound largemouth, his first keeper. Then another big bite that felt so good for a few seconds, but turns out to be a 15-pound striper. Stratus Pro Greg Powers has it going on too, and his fish is the right species, part of his 14.5-pound limit that lands him in 4th place.
When y'all saw me out there, the one I caught on a Carolina rig with a little, some kind of little Japanese crawdad that my buddy Yoshi gave me. I have no idea what it is, but it looks really good and they liked it.
Powers is one of 80 pros with 5 fish limits. David Walker is another on a crankbait and with almost no practice.
Because I went to some areas where I just didn't have time to go and check them in practice. I just went to them today knowing that before I'd caught some fish there. And
the only angler with an edge on Walker came a long way to fish Beaver Lake. Japan's Shinichi Fukai, already 7th in the season point standings.
Oh, today, very, very perfect. Perfect. Shin Fukai, Osaka, Japan. 5 fish here, 16 pounds, 7 ounces. Number 1.
Fukai's method, a small jig fished on light line. But for much of the field, it was a different story.
Gosh, every single bite, they fight so darn hard, you think it's going to be a keeper, and it's not. It was frustrating.
No, Charlie, I caught about 2 lemons today, and I worked myself all the way up to about that weight. They're all kind of like you, you know.
A little short, a little on the short side.
Among those struggling, Land O'Lakes Angler of the Year points leader Dean Rojas, one of only 19 anglers who zeroed.
Day 2. Mother Nature added her degree of difficulty this morning as fog delayed launch. We're halfway through the qualifying round, and 200 pros will take the water this morning, knowing that just 10 will survive to fish the final round. For those who need a strong showing on day 2, a fog delay shortening the fishing time would be costly. But veteran Terry Seagraves warned any angler who got too uptight would only magnify their problem.
You've got to kind of keep your cool, because if you do get in a panic mode, you start fishing faster. This tournament's been a little slow fishing. You got to really slow down to get that bite, and if they panic, that'd be the worst thing they could do. So they got to keep their cool.
With fog, it usually means no wind, and in the clear water situation in which we got here in this lake means less bites.
Jason Kilpatrick entered the day in 8th place, and he's got a different take on the fog delay.
Tracy and I were just talking. We wish we'd just cancel it right now.
Yeah. The fog finally lifted after just a 45-minute delay, and then 200 boats sped to their spots. Anglers needing fish soon caught fish. The always excited Takahiro Omori and one of the local favorites, Castrol Pro Carl Sweebeck. But perhaps no fish brought more relief than this one. When Dean Rojas caught this small keeper, it lifted a big burden. The season points leader zeroed on day 1. He'd weigh a small limit on day 2 and finish in 139th place, vowing for a strong rebound at Kentucky Lake. Looking strong on day 2, Dion Hibden, who secured his 2nd top 10 in a row with a limit of 14 pounds, 4 ounces on a day when most thought the fishing was tougher.
I fished good here last year, the last day when it did this, and I went and did the same thing. I mean, you know, I made the right adjustment and went to where I knew I could catch some, and I say I knew I could catch some. I hadn't been up there since last year.
Tennessee's Craig Powers rose to the top of the field with a tournament-high 2-day total weight of 27.9. His first FLW win came in 2001.
When you're casting, anything can happen. That happened to me once before. I mean, I proved that. So, I mean, if it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody. I just like to see it happen to me twice.
Day 3. The weight started 0 for the 10 finalists on day 3, and Clark Winlet charged out of the gates, taking advantage of the fresh start just moments after launch. And when Mr. Beaver Lake gets going, everyone else better bring their A game.
Woo-hoo! Yes, sir.
Craig Powers found fish in large numbers with a jigging spoon. He'd land a 5-fish limit, but dug a small hole for day 4, trailing by 3.5 pounds. Castrol Pro Mike Sermon was working his crankbait for a 5-fish limit, but he too would need a strong day 4 to make a run at the title. Small limits were a troublesome theme for the finalists. Jason Kilpatrick would add his 5 fish, but still trail by nearly 6 pounds at day's end. A rookie named Tim Klinger put himself in good position with the largest fish of the day. This beauty bolstered his 10-pound stringer. At the Friday weigh-in, Tom Monsoor held a narrow 1-pound lead on Winlet, and both Fukai and Klinger within 2.5 pounds. Day 4. The first moments after launch on day 4 showed the top anglers were intent on taking charge. Winlet, Monsoor, Klinger, and Powers all quickly caught keepers, and the race was on. There's much more on their amazing day a little later. In the end, the shootout came down to Tennessee's Craig Powers and Nevada's Tim Klinger and one large fish. Craig will bring up his final fish. If it is 4:15, Craig Powers is our winner. If not, Tim Klinger is our winner. This is high drama for the Walmart Open champions.
He needs 4 pounds, 15 ounces. It's oh. We need 4 pounds, 15 ounces. This fish weighs in at 4 pounds, 2 ounces. Tim Klinger is our champion.
The final leaderboard reflected the large payday of the Walmart Open. $200,000 for first place, $100,000 for second. Tom Mansour finished in third, just ahead of Clark Winlet and Mark Harden. Shinichi Fukai continues his incredible season with a 6th place finish, followed by Jason Kilpatrick, Mike Sermon, Dion Hibden, and Jason Abram. The Energizer Keeps On Going award also honored Abram, who was in 92nd place after day 1 and surged forward to make the cut. The Shop Vac Clean Sweep Award, going to the best weight of the qualifying round, went to Craig Powers with 27.9. The Schick Close Shave Award went to Clark Wendland.
Coming up on FLW Outdoors, we talk with anglers who did well in this event. Our first guest, Japanese angler Shin Fukai. You're going to enjoy meeting him.
Strong. No bite.
Back to FLW Outdoors, Taylor Carr and Larry Nixon in between Shin Fukai, who finished 6th, and Gary Yamamoto. You know his name. He invented the Senko and a famous bass fisherman. And you're going to interpret for Shin. He'll tell us how he did in this event. And Larry, you asked the questions. I know you want to know how this guy caught fish.
I'm going to tell you what, Taylor, he's caught fish everywhere he's been this year, and he's just been a hot new fisherman, and he's good at Clearwater Lakes. And congratulations on a great tournament here at Beaver Lake. And Gary, tell me how he caught his fish. What kind of water he was fishing?
水の色はどんな色だったりて。まあ、もう僕が釣ってたところはとても綺麗なクリアウォーターで。Clear water. ロアエリアのショートポイント。He said he was keying on short points.
Okay. He was keying on short, deep points that had about a 45-degree slope on them. In the first 2 days, I know he caught most of his fish with a technique that is very well known up around Table Rock called winding a jig. And this, he has a very special little jig here that's made in Japan, and it's for light line. And this jig has a little teeny hook in it that is just sharp as a needle. And so what that means is when you get a bite and you just kind of pull up on them and start winding, you hook the fish and you don't lose any of them because you can't jerk real hard with light line.
Gary, one more question for Shin. His response to being among the leaders in Land O'Lakes Angler of the Year. He might win Angler of the Year in the U.S. He's won it in Japan already.
ここでアメリカで Angler of the Year になる可能性があるって実感が湧いてないんですけど残り2戦、全力で頑張ります。はい。He's not confident that he can do it, but he says he has 2 more tournaments and he's got the time to pre-fish and practice. ここにいる時点でもうなんか夢みたいです。He says it's like a dream to be up here talking.
All right, Gary Yamamoto, Shin Fukai. Gentlemen, thank you very much. 6th place finish, $28,000. That's a lot of yen.
Congratulations.
Let's take a look now at some of the action from the Walmart Open on Beaver Lake. What an event. Here we go.
CP.
Hi, man.
Rig me up whatever I need. Put it on here.
Well, in case you didn't check the stats, I'm in 6th. You need to go a little bit farther down that one.
No, I'm in 7th. I need to just start working my way that way. Everybody tie one rod. I got six or 7 rods. If everybody ties their best bait on, I might catch them today.
In the moments before launch, it's hard to tell these guys are fishing for $200,000 today. Now these guys, maybe. That's your leader, Tom Mansour, 1 pound ahead of 2-time Beaver Lake winner Clark Winlet.
And I don't feel like I got a whole lot of pressure. I feel like the pressure's all in first place. So we're going to go out and fish today, and if the bites come, I'm not going to change anything. I think I'm going to go fish the way I've been fishing.
I'm looking at Tom Mansour, who's just smiling over there. Have you talked to Tom at all this morning?
He doesn't seem like a real guy that gets, feels a lot of pressure, so I'm sure he won't.
I'm just going to go have fun, go fishing. If you make the top 10, you did great. I did that, so I'm happy. Whatever happens today happens. I'm just going to go have a good day of fishing.
Only seconds after launch, Winlet leaves the line of boats and turns left. Within a minute, he's got a fish on, while the other boats are still idling toward the main lake. It's a 1 pound spot and unofficially pulls him even with Mansour.
Good to go, number 1. First boat just took off. We got one in the box. What we're talking about. We're tied now, buddy.
Winlet is fishing the same area in Prairie Creek where Dan Moorhead won the event last year. The key is making sure his crankbait touches the rocks. He won't stay here long, but his strategy to boat an early keeper pays off. Meanwhile, most of the field is still in the no-wake zone. Winlet's amazing success on Beaver Lake with wins in 1999 and 2001 came from his sight fishing skills. But conditions weren't quite right for bedding fish this year, although he did think about it.
I wish they were spawning, and they probably are starting now, but I can't change now. So, yeah, I went in a pocket yesterday and looked for about 3 minutes and then had a reality check and knocked myself up the head and decided to change. But, you know, I thought back on it when I've had good sight fishing days here, especially when I've had to find the fish. 10, 11 pounds has always been really good, and I feel like I have a better chance to catch more than that this way, and so that's what I'm going to try to do.
While Winlet is fishing, Mansour is speeding to his spot, unaware the tournament is tied. Doesn't stay tied long. Mansour throws out a marker buoy and starts fishing his homemade jig, sitting in 30 feet of water and casting to about 3. On his first cast, he hooks a keeper and takes the lead again. Mansour is making a run at his first FLW title. He can look around and see that it won't be easy.
Way too much pressure here today. Too many boats. It's not going to be good.
But it's good enough to add a second fish 30 minutes later, giving Mansour 15.5 pounds, with Winlet at 13.5, followed by Tim Klinger and Mark Harden. Back over to Winlet, who gets his second fish, another small spot. It puts him within striking distance of Mansour again.
It's 7:30. We're coming back through the no wake. I didn't fish back here in Prairie Creek yesterday, but I decided to. We caught 2 fish. They're not very big, they're little spotted bass, but I would hope the rest of the field hadn't even got to where they're going, just barely. So it's a good start. Got the ice broken. We're just gonna now we got to catch some big fish.
Coming up from the Walmart Open, rookie Tim Klinger lands a 5-pounder and makes a run at the leader. And Mike Sermon hooks something even bigger. See what lurks in Beaver Lake when FLW Outdoors continues. And welcome back to Rogers, Arkansas. The Walmart Open just ended, and we had an exciting finish. Taylor Carr with Larry Nixon. And let's talk about favorite lakes for a second. I know Guntersville in Alabama is one of your favorites, Larry.
It's one of them lakes that I'm just comfortable fishing. You know, I catch a lot of bass when I go there, and it seems like every time I do, I place well.
Well, on Beaver Lake in Arkansas, Clark Winlet is really the man. He has been in the top 10 here 5 times. He's won this twice. How can you explain that?
It's hard to really explain why somebody just falls in love with a body of water and always fishes well. But Clark, this is his lake. I mean, he's going to place in the top 10, seems like, every time he comes here.
And not bad this year, 4th place for Clark Winlet.
That's right. He had a great tournament. Even though he didn't win, he's right there amongst the top.
Let's go on the water now with Mr. Beaver Lake, Clark Winlet.
You know, after the first day of this tournament, I was struggling on the water, and I had a pit in my stomach all day, and my wife and I got together, and we started talking about it. And what came out of it is, and she helped me realize, is that the reason that God put me on this earth is to glorify Him. You know, what I'm able to do, He gave me that stuff to use it to His glory. You know, that's what I'm going to try to do. And I'm not gonna have that pit in my stomach and that anxious feeling. I mean, I got to pray for it. I got to pray for God to fill me, to give me the Holy Spirit and say, you know, everything's going to be all right. You just got to go out and fish, and you know, use your talents and glorify me. Bring my message to as many people as I can. That's life-changing stuff right there, but that's the truth. It's 7:30. We're coming back through the no wake. I didn't fish back here in Prairie Creek yesterday, but I decided to. We caught 2 fish. They're not very big, they're little spotted bass, but I would hope the rest of the field hadn't even got to where they're going, just barely. So it's a good start. Got the ice broken. We're just gonna, now we gotta catch some big fish.
It's 9:15, and over the next 2 hours, the Kellogg's Pro will fill up his live well with a small limit. 5 fish that will lift Winlet in the standings, but not enough to claim his 3rd victory at Beaver Lake. The big fish Winlet needs have been biting late in the day. Too late for this day.
Thank you, Lord. They're great. I'm not too good at that. Yeah, I think part of the key so far is has really been the rod and reel I'm using. I'm using a Falcon medium action 6.5 foot cranking rod that actually they're starting to sell at Walmart. Walmart's really picked it up, and Falcon, boy, it's going great. It's a great brand, and that rod right there has really let me feel the bottom good. You know, it's not a glass rod, it's a graphite rod, but it lets me feel kind of what the rocks feel like, and I feel like that's a big key so far. I don't think I got enough. It was a good day, but those fish just really start biting late. And I caught the 3 largemouth I caught in the last probably hour and a half, and I feel like if I'd have had 2 more hours, I could have caught 3 or 4 more. I mean, if it would have been until 4 o'clock, I could have caught them, I feel sure, but you know, that's just the way it is.
In the end, it was a great day for anyone else and a typical one for Mr. Beaver Lake. Winlet weighed in just under 8 pounds for a 4th place finish, his 5th top 10 in 7 visits to Beaver Lake.
And Larry, Clark Winlet is versatile too. He's won this event sight fishing, but this time it was crankbaiting almost the whole way.
I know it. You know, it doesn't matter what he's doing. When he comes here, he just knows where to look for fish.
And $40,000 for 4th place, that's not bad.
That's not bad. I know Clark's not too awful happy with it, but he could have did a lot worse.
Well, when we come back, a guy who finished a real hot number 2, Craig Powers, next on FLW Outdoors. And welcome back to Rogers, Arkansas. We just saw the shootout style weigh-in at its best. Craig Powers of Rockwood, Tennessee, by just ounces finished 2nd. Man, CP, we were right there with you. $100,000, I know still you're disappointed.
Well, no, I promise you, I'm really not disappointed. I mean, everything that could go right did, so I swear to you, I know it sounds silly, but I'm really not disappointed. And anybody in their right mind walk away with $100,000 and be disappointed, they need to be busted in the head, you know.
Craig, you had a pretty unique pattern going today when I come down and visited with you this morning, and I mean, there was just a ton of fish in that area. Can you talk to me just a little bit about that?
When you got gin clear water and dead calm conditions, and they've got enough bait fish down there to feed 7 million fish, why would they hit anything that's not real? You know?
Well, now, you did a pretty good job of tricking them, because I watched you catch 3 this morning, and you was cranking an old lure that's one of your favorite baits. And tell me about the technique that you was using with that lure to get them to bite it.
It's just an old long A bomber. It's a technique that I know a lot of people out in Missouri use it at Table Rock and lakes like that, but I'm from Upper East Tennessee, and we got a lot of the same kind of style lakes. So,
you know, he was actually reeling this lure very, very slow on top of the water so that it had that constant back and forth action. And so much of the time bass fishing, a slow action that don't ever change makes them mad or something, don't it? Because them fish, that really didn't look like a shad.
Right. I think what they do, you know, a lot of times this time of year the water's warming up or whatever and the shad are dying. And I think that long A just wobbling across the top, I think that's what it looks like. It stays in the strike zone so long that a lot of those fish, I don't think they want to eat it because you've seen the ones I caught, they're fat. They can't be hungry. They just hit it out of aggression more than anything.
Craig Powers, $100,000 for second place. That's not bad.
Not a bad 4 days' work.
No, it's not.
I'm impressed, man. That was awesome. I enjoyed that this morning. That was so much fun.
Now more on how it was done. Back to action on Beaver Lake and the Walmart Open. Castrol Pro Mike Sermon decides to make a run on day 4. He's in 7th place, 9.5 pounds off the lead, so he needs something big to happen. Maybe it's Sermon's day.
That's the one we wanted. Oh, does that make you sick?
It would be a long time before Sermon catches a keeper bass. It's still Tom Mansour in the lead, followed by Clark Winlet 2 pounds back. Georgia's Mark Harden has 2 early fish. First a 15-inch smallmouth, then a keeper spotted bass, both on a jerkbait. Harden is in 4th place.
He's not a big one, but he's number 2.
Rookie Tim Klinger is fishing a jig through brush piles off a boat dock. He's a product of the new Everstart Western Division and feels right at home on a clear water fishery like Beaver Lake. His jig brings an early keeper, and it moves Klinger up to 3rd with 11.5 pounds. In practice, Klinger caught a nice largemouth off the brush pile he's fishing now, and he believes there's more where that came from.
Big one. Big fish. Oh, yeah, baby. Yeah. Woo!
That's 5.5 pounds of largemouth, and it rockets Klinger from 3rd to 1st.
Man, that was a big fish. That was a good one. I'd ask you to smile, but I know. I'm excited now.
Klinger's gold mine of a brush pile is off the corner of this dock in 12 feet of water. His jig is brown, 3/8 of an ounce, with a natural pork trailer, fished on 16-pound fluorocarbon line. Mansour and Winlet each still have 2 keepers, but they're now in 2nd and 3rd place, respectively. Stratus Pro Craig Powers has 3 fish in the boat and takes over 4th place from Harden. But it's the fish he hasn't caught that has him excited.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, my. Oh, God. John, dude, there was 4 of them giant spots just followed that thing in. I mean them big ones. Good Lord. Oh, God.
Powers has found a huge concentration of spotted bass suspended over deep water at Rocky Branch Marina, and they're following the steady pull of his long A bomber.
Come on, baby, get on that plug.
But as hard as he tries, he just can't get them to bite.
I mean, it's so frustrating. It's nerve-wracking. It's the most nerve-wracking way of fishing I've ever had in my life. I mean, I can see them swimming around. They're hitting at that topwater bait. And I know how big they are. I mean, that's the worst part about it. I know how big they are. You remember that movie, Cool Hand Luke? Gotta get my head right, boss. My head right now is spinning.
While Powers collects his thoughts, Klinger collects his 4th keeper and solidifies his lead. Powers can't get those big spots to bite, so he moves closer to the Prairie Creek launch, and that's where he puts it all together. With a jerkbait over open water, he gets 5 bites in 20 minutes, giving him 7 pounds on the day and 2nd place. Coming up on FLW Outdoors, Klinger's lead grows to 5 pounds, and then his fish shut down. With big money on the line, Powers keeps catching fish, but is it enough to take the lead? When we come back on FLW Outdoors, Dion Hibden is something he does very well, skipping a jig. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Rogers, Arkansas, where the Walmart Open just ended. Now, Larry Nixon, every angler has to have a strength. And for the Hibden family, Guido and Dion, they're known for fishing those light jigs on Lake of the Ozarks.
Hey, they can take a jig and skip it way back under a dock, and fish will lay down and put it in there just so quiet a fish don't even know it hit the water. They're really good at it.
All right, pay attention now. Dion Hibden on Skipping a Jig.
it's different for me. I grew up on Lake of the Ozarks. You learned how to become a good caster at a young age, or you just didn't make no money. It's a lot more finesse than it is, you know, skipping is normally a forceful deal. You know, the harder you throw it, the further it skips. But with a bait caster, it's kind of a finesse deal. The way I do it, my bait has to come over the tip of my rod and then go in there. And what that does is, by doing that, as my bait hits the water, my rod tip raises, and it kind of feathers that line up off the water. I take it and it goes over the tip of my rod like that. And what it does is I raise my rod tip up as it gets closer to the object, and it just kind of keeps my line up off the water. What stops your bait is when your line gets in the water. You know, it drags your bait down. I position my boat like this right here. I have to swing my rod real low, so I'll actually position my boat facing what I'm throwing it around. Because if I have to do it right here on the side of the boat, I take a chance of hitting the boat and stuff. So I want this area up here to where I can swing my rod and skip it under there. Same way if I do it this way, you know, I've got this area out here that's open. I'm not going to hit anything with my bait. So it's easier to point it at whatever you're doing. Point the boat at it. Just like that right there. I bumped the trolling motor as I went to throw it. Anybody comes down the bank can cast it in there. And if it only skips it that much further under that boat dock than the other 20 jigs that these bass have seen, you know, it might entice me a bite.
Our winner here at the Walmart Open won his first event on only his 4th try. That's not bad. When we come back, we meet Nevada's Tim Klinger.
Woo! Look at that, fatty. Yeah!
And welcome back to Rogers, Arkansas FLW Outdoors. Tim Klinger just won $200,000. He resides in Boulder City, Nevada, but right now, Larry, I think he resides on Cloud 9. Tim, congratulations.
I'm there. Thanks a lot.
Hey, no doubt. He's high right now, boy. I know how it feels. Just an amazing tournament.
It was great. I just been lucky and caught them every day. Every day I've caught one almost 4 pounds or over 4 pounds.
I don't want to hear that lucky stuff. I know better than that. You did good, man. You got to be good to win a tournament. Yes, you need a little lucky break occasionally, but I don't call that luck. You knew what to do and how to fish these bass this week, and you brought me a lure here. I think this is the main one that he used this week to catch his bigger fish, especially today.
No, the bigger fish, all of the bigger fish come on the jig.
They did come on a jig. What depth would you say you really concentrated on for your bigger largemouth?
Well, the biggest one come out of 12 foot of water, but the majority of them, 5 and 6 foot of water.
5 and 6 foot.
You know, a jig is, I love throwing a jig. Lake Mead, Havasu, Mojave, I love throwing a jig.
Well, a jig is just, let me tell you, a jig is a lure that if you get the bite, you're going to win a lot of tournaments. I don't care where they are. Let me ask you this, and this is for our viewers. When you're fishing a brush pile with a jig, do you fish it like I do, like working it through there and letting it fall back? And you wasn't doing nothing funny like throwing it out and letting it go to the bottom, reeling it in like mine. You was fishing normal.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to feel everything down in there. I'm not throwing it by it and swimming it by. I've caught a few bass doing that before. I didn't catch any hair doing that, but my confidence level's not very high.
Feeling every limb up, letting it fall back. Thump.
That's when I get bit. You know, I go up a limb and then drop it back down.
That's the way they're supposed to bite it.
That's it. You know, when they're biting it like that, you're getting them, you know.
Well, congratulations, man. Go ahead, Taylor.
His first year, a good tournament to win $200,000. Tim, congratulations.
Yeah, this is awesome. Thanks.
All right, more of how he did it. Final day action from Beaver Lake and the Walmart Open. Craig Power's impressive hot streak boosted him to 16 pounds, 4.5 behind Tim Klinger. Then it's Tom Mansour in hot pursuit and Clark Winlet in 4th place. The two-time champion's crankbait plan is working, but not exactly like he'd hoped.
The fish are biting. I'm getting a lot of bites right now, catching a lot of little bitty fish, but every day that when they really started biting, that's what happens. And you just gotta, I feel like you just gotta rotate the best places, the places you're most apt to catch a good fish until you catch one.
But he never boats a fish over 2 pounds, and Winlet stays in 4th place. Mansour makes a surge with back-to-back keepers. First, a spotted bass that barely makes the live well. Then minutes later, a nice largemouth gives the Wisconsin pro 19 pounds, and he takes over second place from Powers. Klinger's still fishing around boat docks with a jerkbait now when he gets another good bite.
Oh, yeah, big one. Big one. Big one. I got a big largemouth. Stay on, baby.
It does stay on, and at almost 3 pounds gives Klinger 24-1 for the tournament, but it would be his last keeper. Powers has the best chance to overtake Klinger. He catches his biggest fish of the day and improves 2 pounds. Then 2 more nice fish come 10 minutes apart, and he trails the leader by only 13 ounces. Mansour makes a late surge too, catching a big spot on his last cast. Now less than a pound separates the top 3 contenders for the $200,000 first prize. Klinger leaves the door open. He fishes the final 3 hours without a keeper bite.
Just my last cast when we're leaving, and you told me what time it was. That was it. We had to go. Bang, I get my second biggest fish. Pretty nice. First cast, last cast. What a day.
Mansour brings 10-11 to the weigh-in stage and finishes only 14 ounces out of the lead. Good enough for third place and $50,000.
Man, all I know is it's been a fantastic day. Whatever happens is going to happen. I've had as good a day fishing as I've ever had in my life. That's about all you can say.
Powers' 14.6 is the day's best stringer, and he hangs in until his last fish. But he can't top Klinger's weight, and the rookie from Nevada claims his first FLW title by a mere 13 ounces.
Larry, I think Tim Klinger will be sky high for quite some time.
It's going to be a while before he comes down out of the clouds, I want to tell you.
Your winner, $200,000. More from Beaver Lake after this.